Woods Farm here. Just doing some workout in the shop today. 2006 Ford Focus. Got a tie rod, needs to be replaced. So if you are fortunate enough to have a 2006 Ford Focus, something I've noticed, because this is my second Ford Focus that I've owned, and midway through the year they actually switched tie rods. So some of them are going to have a tie rod like this, which works for both the left and right side, and some of them are going to have a tie rod that's got a little bit of a curve to it, and it's set up to, there's a left and a right one specifically. I had the exact same problem with my last one when I did the tie rods. It made multiple trips to the parts store, and I thought I knew what was going on this time, and I had to do the same thing. So ultimately I got both of them here, a left driver's side and just a regular one. I'm pretty sure it's actually this one with the curved part here, but we're gonna see when I get it off which one I need, and then what I'll do is I'll just take the other one back. So that's where we're at. You can see how much play there is. Like a ½ inch, maybe more. Really clunky, side to side. You know, so if you grab the 9 and 3 o'clock position, and if you can move it back and forth, that's going to be probably a tie rod. In this case, an outer tie rod is what I'm going to have to replace. And for a couple of weeks, as I've been driving the car around, I've been feeling a clunky motion. I can feel that, specifically when I kind of turn to the right at speed, like if I'm merging in and off the highway, I can really feel it. So that might be an indication that you might need a tie rod to be replaced on your car. But jack it up off the ground and you'll see, and you can compare both sides. I went to the other side. The tie rod's fine on the passenger side. It has barely any play in it at all. So I'm pretty confident that tie rod's still good. But this one's got to be changed. It'll probably 3 or 4 months I'll have to do the other one. That's what happened to my other car. They didn't go at the same time. So we're just going to get this tire off and we'll start working on this tie rod. My dad always taught me it was a good idea to throw your tire underneath there. I've got it up on the jack, and there's a jack stand under there too, just for a little bit extra safety. Yeah, you can see the play there. That shouldn't be like that. Just gives you a little bit better access if you turn the wheel to the inside. Just going to give this a good dose of WD-40 and let it sit for a minute. So I want to say that this is a 21 millimeter. I didn't have a 21 millimeter open-ended wrench, so I had to use a 22, which is a little sloppy on it. And then just on the tie rod itself, it's going to have these flat spots. You can put an adjustable wrench on there. And that was able to give me enough leverage to loosen this up. It's still kind of stuck on this bar here, so I'm going to have to put a pair of vice grips on here, I think, just to back this nut off. Now what you want to really be careful of is that if you can, you want to mark this with a piece of tape or measure it, or even a Sharpie or something. It might be a good idea to take a measurement, and basically you want to be very careful to make sure that you keep the same distance here, because if you put this tie rod on and you go in too deep or it's on too far out, the front end's going to be out of alignment. Now if you're careful, you can do this and you won't have to redo your front end alignment. So just be careful, take a measurement, mark it if you can, and get it back into the same spot. This top one here, that's it's a 15 millimeter. I'm going to put a socket on that. It's pretty rusted, so we'll see how that comes off. So that wasn't too hard. You can see I got it loose. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to back this off just a hair, and when I get this off, I'm going to see if I can thread the tie rod off the threaded shaft here. That way this nut here is going to be giving me a pretty good idea of exactly where the new tie rod needs to go. So now I'm just going to work on loosening off this top bolt. Okay, so that broke free a lot easier than I thought it would. It's a really cool hammer. This is my grandfather's, and now I use it for shop stuff. It's pretty good. Okay, so now what's happening is it's just spinning. The ball of the joint is just spinning in there now that I broke it free, but that's okay. Set of pliers or something on there. And now I'm just going to thread it off. Okay, so that was not too hard. Okay, so always a good idea to compare the parts. And I was somewhat concerned, but that I would have the right part, but we're good. This one's going to work. I was just real careful to, again, I'm worried about that distance, you know, from the center here to the end here. And as far as I can tell, it's pretty bang on. This tie rod looks a little beefier, but definitely the distances are the same. I think it's going to work just fine. Something to keep in mind, I've noticed earlier when this was spinning here, I forgot about this, but keep it in mind when you have that problem. I think on the stock ones, the original ones in the car, there's a little, you've got to clean it out. It'll be filled with dirt, but you can actually get an Allen wrench in there in the top, and that'll prevent it from spinning while you kind of bring that nut off. Now the aftermarket ones don't have that, but I'm pretty sure on my last car, same thing. The originals had a nice little Allen key spot on the top. It worked just fine. Backing it off almost all the way. I banged it out, and then I got vice grips on the bottom. That worked too, no problem. So we're just going to put the new part in, which is this one here, and we should be good. I just noticed something about this new tie rod, which is a good thing. This one has a grease fitting. So the original ones don't have a grease fitting. You talk about planned obsolescence, you know. So this one's actually a pretty good part, I would say. Mog. It was on sale at Canadian Tire, so I can't complain. I said just give me the cheapest one, but a lot of times the cheaper ones won't have a grease fitting. This particular one has a slot for a cotter pin. So it won't back off. I just kind of hand tightened it up there. And then the last thing is, we're just going to tighten this up now. Okay, that's it. Tire goes back on and we're done. I would say half an hour, you know, really start to finish by the time I get the tire back on. It took me a little longer because I'm making the video, but not a hard job. So yeah, after getting it all put back together, I could have used a 21mm wrench, which I didn't have, but I made do with these adjustable wrenches. Yes, guys are going to say don't use this, use adjustable wrenches, but honestly, nothing was seized on here, or I needed, you know, a ton of torque. These tools work just fine. So a lot of people, this is basic stuff that pretty much everybody's got, right? A pair of vice grips, you know, you got a pair of vice grips, a couple adjustable wrenches, you can do this. You know, you don't need a whole full mechanics tool set to do a job like this. And you know, you're going to save yourself, you know, I don't know, 50 bucks, 100 bucks on labor at a shop just doing this yourself. So you can always go on YouTube and you know, Google the problem, you know, and then find some sort of tutorial that'll help you. So if you're not afraid to get your hands dirty when it comes to working on cars, you can save yourself a lot of cash. Okay, that's it, all done. So not much more than half an hour to do it. Real easy little job. Saved me a few bucks. So yeah, 2006 Ford Focus tie rod. Any questions, definitely leave them in the comments below. If you like the channel, please like and subscribe. And thanks for watching as always.